How to avoid these costly mistakes in Central Florida. I also like to call this webinar How Not to Screw This Up, Central Florida First Time Homebuyers Class. So I don't know how you guys are wired, but I'm one of those people who, when I go to spend money or try something new, I always want to know how do people mess this up? What can I learn from their mistakes so I don't make the same one? So that's why we kind of dubbed it How Not to Screw This Up. The first question I kind of want to go over is, how are you feeling now? We'll start off with the big question. Are you feeling concerned, stressed out, anxious, uncertain, maybe even excited? Kind of where are you with all your emotions and your feeling for buying a home? Angela, worried about the market. Anxious, Michael, yes. Those are both stressed out, uncertain. Yeah. I can feel you on that. Pretty much what our goal tonight is going to be is we want you to feel in control and at ease about the process. Intimidating, that's good too. You know, we're here to give you the information and education and let you know that we've been in your shoes. I've been in your shoes. I've been a first-time home buyer. I bought, sold a few homes throughout the years, and we've helped many others like you and in any type of market. Oh, awesome, buddy. I'm glad you feel good. In all the different markets. And despite what you might hear on the news or from your friends or from, the other realtor next door, we're in a buyer's market. The market has totally shifted over the past couple years, and it's a full-on buyer's market. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily buyers friendly, especially with where our rates are and the uncertainty about the whole, economy as a whole and everything. I just want you to know that I remember what it was like. I bought my first house about 20 years ago, 23 years ago. I'm old. But I still remember it like it was yesterday. My mind was just blown away at how emotional and stressful and just uncertain it was. But then it's surreal once we got those keys and we were able to, no longer have to ask the landlord if we could paint the color of our walls, or we ended up building a vinyl fence in our backyard because we wanted the dogs to be able to go out and play, whereas we didn't have that option when we just rented a house before. It was you find a house with a fence already, or we just take them out on a leash. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you've been stressing about the whole home buying thing, our goal tonight is to help you have the best night's sleep that you've had in quite a while. I don't know if you guys are getting that storm. We just had a huge storm roll through over here. It just skirted us, but some good lightning with it. So hopefully it gets through before bedtime too. Just don't forget, if you can't stay for the whole call, we do have a link. I'm going to drop it here just in case anybody wants to schedule like a one-on-one consultation or kind of go over more personal stuff, or kind of, hey, what's the next step? It's pouring there now. Oh my gosh, we could have sworn we saw like clouds swirling. That's how like dark and ominous it was. And if you guys do stay to the end tonight, and if you book a one-on-one with us, we do have about $1,000 worth of giveaways that we're going to do. So all that information will be at the end. So question time again. If you've ever screwed something up in the first time that you've done it, I want you to drop a yes in the chat. And I mean, like the first time you rode a bike on two wheels, were you an expert? Did you just take straight off? Some of us might have. Were you a little wobbly, shaky, maybe fell down, got a busted knee or two? So I would venture for the most of us, the first time we learn to do something, we're not always great at it. We need somebody that either has gone ahead of us and can help us or show us. Most likely your parents, helped you with those training wheels to begin with, or they held onto the back of the bike while you took off. I have a 4-year-old. He's learning to swim, and we went over to Grandpa's house to swim today, and he didn't want to wear he's got his cute little water wings. He didn't want to wear those. So all day he's getting it down. He's able to, swim about half the distance of the pool underwater to the steps and get out. But he's so proud. But if mom wasn't in the water with him, he wouldn't want to do it, because he's like that uncertain, that unsure, that kind of afraid. So essentially, what we're here to do is to help you feel more okay about it. And the biggest way to kind of do that in the beginning is just to let you know some of the major first timer mistakes. So I've been doing real estate since 2014. Hi there. And I can tell you that 90% of first time buyers end up in the wrong house or with the wrong deal. So either you wait until the very last minute and you need to be out of your rental. You can't stand the roaches anymore. Maybe you can't stand that neighbor anymore. And so you just kind of hurry up and just, okay, I guess this is fine. Or you think you want one thing, but then as you get into it, you're like, oh, well, maybe I don't. So the good news is that I've been in your shoes and I've helped so many others that came before you. So just let my team guide you through the process, and we're here to prepare and advise you in every step along the way. A little bit about myself, and realize most of you probably don't know me. My name is Amber Spiker again, and I'm the broker owner of Golden Sapphire Real Estate. We're just a small little boutique brokerage based out over here in DeLand Springs. Most of you know where that is, I'm assuming, because it looked like most people are like Daytona Beach, Orange City and stuff. But DeLand Springs is a tiny little town just north of DeLand. So we essentially are 10 minutes away into all the shopping and cuteness of DeLand, but out here in the country. I have amazing support team connections, and then even more people to handle all of your home buying needs even after. So you don't want to mow that grass because like last week it felt like 120 out. I have a lawn company that I can totally recommend to you. I love education and turning nervous renters into proud home owners. And nothing makes me happier than seeing the face when I put those keys in your hand at closing. And I might actually follow you back to the house and get your first picture in front of the front door. That's always fun to do too. But really my big why, if you can't tell it, it's my family right here in this photo. My husband and I got married back in 2000, and we've literally moved all around the country. Well, even the world. We were stationed in Japan once. He's retired from the Air Force now. He retired a couple years ago. And our oldest two in the picture there are out of the house, but we still have the two younger boys at home. Do we have any other veterans or military spouses or anybody on here? Let me know in the chat. There are special loan programs and different things out there that we can kind of talk about that too. So I've always had a strong desire for education, family. I graduated with a bachelor's in child development back in 2009. Oil moved around like, yeah, nursing, yeah, definitely. You understand the moving. With my child development degree, I actually ran successful family childcare centers, home centers on the different bases we lived at. And then in 2014, while we were stationed at Cape Cod in Massachusetts, I decided to become a realtor. Having bought and sold a few houses already, I just felt drawn in that I could help buyers make informed decisions on good homes and areas to buy. It also didn't hurt that I was no longer surrounded by germs all day, so our house actually became a whole lot less sick. It's amazing when you're not around germs all day. So let's fast forward. We were lucky enough to get our top choice for our final duty station. It was a special assignment that brought us back here to Daytona Beach. Well, I guess back to Daytona Beach. I'm originally from Georgia, so I've always wanted to get back to this area. We'd been trying to get here for 20 some years, actually, but the military had other plans for us. So I've been actively licensed here in the state of Florida, helping home buyers just like you since 2021. Oh, cool. Your son was in Japan. Okay. Yeah. We were stationed at Yokota near Tokyo, and then we would go down to Yokosuka for like the big shopping and stuff. And then there's a couple other places around, but my oldest son in this picture here, this one, he was actually born in Japan. So when he was little, he'd go around telling everybody he's Japanese, even though he was born on an American base, and he's not Japanese, obviously. But he still loves sushi to this day, I will tell you. That's like his favorite food. Alrighty, enough about me. Here's a few things about home buyers. These are actual first time and second time home buyers that I've helped. So the folks in that first picture actually just sold last year to take a better job in the St. Pete area. And it was my pleasure when they called to ask me to help them with that. They asked me to help them sell the house, and then I actually went over to St. Pete and helped them buy a new home over there. The middle picture is a single father and his oldest daughter. He worked hard and he bought a great first home. I believe he actually also just opened up a restaurant, which is amazing. And then the last picture there, she wasn't a first-time home buyer. She was more of a second-time home buyer, but she had owned her home for 30 some years. And unfortunately, she lost it over in Fort Myers to Hurricane Ian. I'm sure a lot of folks on here remember that time. Definitely Fort Myers was hit a lot harder than Daytona Beach area, but we were still hit pretty hard over here and along the river and everything. But she decided it was time to move further inland. And DeLand was where her son, who's also in the picture there with us, lived. And of course, the grandbabies. So who could resist moving closer to the grandbabies? Now, I'm not one to toot my own horn, but I wanted you just to kind of see. You guys can Google me and you can come up on my Google, my business page or whatever, and I'll bring other reviews up. But what I do is a service, and I feel like it's really what I've been called to do and what I should be doing. So these are just a few of the reviews from past buyers on Google. This first one here, Tara, they have their house. They've decided to move closer to their grandbabies, and we just listed their house for sale too. So if anybody's looking for a cute house on an acre up in Hastings, let me know. So buying a house is such a big deal that I used to surprise my buyers with this giant key, and then we would pose for a family photo on closing day. True story, that first picture actually has my two littlest down there on the ground with their grandkids, because I make so many friends being a realtor, I guess, and just people become family, and I'm kind of protective of my buyers, just like I am of my family. So enough about me and all the past people that I've helped. Are you guys ready for the top 5 mistakes that first-time homebuyers make? If you're ready, give me a ready in the chat, and we'll do a little drum roll. All righty. Oh, we got some readies. Woohoo! All right, nobody's sleeping on me. I didn't put you to sleep yet. Awesome. So I realize some of you might not be able to say the whole time. Again, I promise we're, about 20, 30 minutes left and we'll be done. So if you can't stay the whole time, we did drop that link earlier to book a consultation. I'll put it in again, but let's get on. Mistake number 1. You don't take advantage of first-time home buyer program. Sorry, my dogs obviously are in my office with me today. All right. This is live if you couldn't tell. So go ahead, raise your hand if you're somebody that doesn't care about $1,000 or $10,000. Like if it's just like, fine, you're fine watching that $1,000 go out the door, go ahead and raise your hand for me. Let me look through my little video. We don't have any videos on. I don't see any hands raised. Okay, cool. So that tells me that a few grand is important to everyone here, just like it is to me. So let's dig a little further into this. There's multiple first-time home buyer programs in our area, and they're based on your situation. They're based on funding that's available, and they can even be specific to the location of the home or to where you currently live. Some of them are grants. And so let me just ask right now, is down payment a concern for anyone on this call? Have you been told like you need 20% saved? You're going to need thousands saved up to be able to purchase a house, and kind of maybe that's why you've put it on the back burner? Okay, thank you for your honesty. Yeah, definitely. Yep. Well, the good thing is that there's some programs out there that'll help you with the down payment. And if it's one of the things that likes to keep you up at night, I'm here to tell you don't have to worry about it. We kind of have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and we have plan D solution to all of that. First-time home buyer programs are broad. There's such a broad use for them. It's everything from money that does not need to be repaid to a silent second mortgage. There's no need to worry about which one just yet or how much. That's actually where an awesome local mortgage broker comes in. And we can talk more about your unique situation during one of our one-on-one calls. And I dropped the link in the chat a little bit ago. But just for a generic example of how a first-time home buyer program might work. Let's say Johnny wants to buy a home. This home costs $325,000, which is, unfortunately, that's kind of where our prices are going for a first-time home, especially if you're wanting 3-bed, 2-bath, a couple car garage or something. So We're going to assume that Johnny's going to get an FHA loan. There's different types of loans out there. And again, this is just a big old idea, and we're going to have a huge legal disclaimer on the next page. But for this instance, Johnny's using an FHA program, the loan that requires a 3.5% down payment, which is one of the lower down payments a loan can require. So, all the math whiz, that means he needs a down payment of $11,375. So then we have to add back in what's called an FHA upfront MI cost, which is a mortgage insurance cost. It's essentially an insurance that's going to protect the lender because they're lending you so much money and so close to what your home's worth. So that equates to 1.75%. So now when we did all that, Johnny's actually going to take a loan out for $319,000 and some change. That's what the lender is going to give him. They're like, Johnny, you've done great. You've worked hard all your life. We like that. You have a steady job, good work history. Your debt to income looks good. So we are going to lend you this amount, $319,000 some change for this home. So Johnny's like, awesome. But where am I going to come up with the other $6,000 and some for a down payment? Like, I don't have that because here I am living in 2025 and, we make ends meet right now. So the first time home buyer program is going to have an incentive. And again, they're all different, but this first time home buyer program is an incentive of 5%, which equals just under $16K. So Johnny can use that $16K not only for his down payment, but there's going to be some left over. So he's going to be able to use almost $4,600 for his closing cost. Because one thing that a lot of online mortgage calculators or a lot of lenders that you're just clicking through and typing in numbers, they don't tell you is you're going to have closing cost for your loan. And it includes everything from like upfront insurance, upfront taxes, interest. There's just a bunch of different little fees and stuff that are associated with buying a home. So the good thing is if we can find you one of these first-time home buyer programs that you qualify for, that you meet all the parameters for, we can potentially get you enough money to cover your closing costs and your down payment, which means you're coming out of pocket nothing or very little. So, like I said, here is the legal disclaimer. Prices, rates, fees, and everything in between can change. This is just for a general idea of how it might work for you. All right, let's move on from that. There's two ugly facts to know, besides a puppy chewing Legos. Let's talk about your bank. Most people's first instinct is to go to their bank where they have their checking account and apply for a mortgage loan there. I mean, it makes sense, right? The thing is, big banks like to pretend that these programs don't exist unless it's an in-house program that they're specializing in. And a lot of times sellers don't want to see a letter or a pre-approval from a big bank anyway. And they might actually decline your offer outright or, not make your terms as favorable. Case in hand, a lot of people, I've had a couple buyers lately that have chosen Rocket Mortgage as their lender. And I will tell you, it was an uphill battle to get the seller, mainly as the listing agent, to accept their offer based on a Rocket Mortgage pre-approval. Because, in speaking on the listing side of things, more often than not, when we get a Rocket pre-approval, that person isn't really pre-approved. They just kind of typed in some numbers and got this generic thing. They haven't gone through and turned in paperwork. Buying a home is a big process. And there's a lot of upfront stuff, and there's a lot of time during this process that's going to be, you're going to feel overwhelmed with stuff. But then there's going to be some that you're going to be like, is anybody even doing anything? Like, I haven't heard from anybody in 2 days, whereas yesterday they were hounding me for all this extra documents. So, there's just a stigma on Bank of America, the bigger banks and lenders out there when it comes to it. But thankfully, one of those was a first-time home buyer, and the other one's actually a veteran using a VA loan. Both of those people got their offers accepted because I was able to speak directly to their lender at Rocket Mortgage and to, show, hey, this is the whole package. They've turned in all their documents, and their lender actually, with their okay, am I okay, reached out to the listing agent too when we submitted the offers. So nope, they're good to go. and it helps. We work as a team to get you the best deal and the best home. But you're probably like, all right, Amber, what about the thousands that I don't want to leave on the table? Angela, that happened to you. Yeah. And that's where I like to make suggestions of people that I like to use, but I don't get anything from them. There's some people out there that can get kickbacks, and I don't think we're allowed to call them that anymore, but they give you like a disclosure, you get money off of it. The people that I recommend for you to use, I recommend because they have a proven track record. And it also costs money once you go under contract on a home. You're spending money before you even live in that house. And I don't want that to be for nothing either. Like, I want you to have a solid pre-approval, and then we get your offer accepted, and then you close on the home and you're happy. And if there's something little that comes up in between, we get through it. But I'd like to foresee those things ahead of time. So our team is going to work every angle for you and for your specific situation. We want to ensure that you don't leave thousands on the table. So if you like to just throw money away, it's probably best that you go ahead, get off this webinar tonight, and go ahead and go to bed early. I mean, it's 7:30 almost, so, hate to save you some money if you didn't want to. But if you are excited about the opportunity for a little monetary help in pursuing a home, stay tuned. Because if the lender is on here, let me see if he's on here. I don't think he's on here tonight. He's not on here to talk to you directly, but I do have a couple slides about our lender's information. And I could pass the mic over to him. So let me just see. Josh, are you on here tonight? I don't see you, but sometimes you log in as somebody else. So I don't think he's on here. Alrighty. He was going to try to hop on, but he's probably delayed. So I'm going to give you his slide. And if you guys want to take your cell phones out and take a picture of the QR code or write any of his information down, this is Josh. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty in pursuit of giving you the best approval for special grants, programs. Him and his team are going to work tirelessly. They turn the programs upside down. They shake them out, and they get it to all the most free money that you can and all the other benefits. Sorry, Maya, it's so intimidating to me. Would you suggest having a real estate agent would start? Yep, totally. Yep. We'll get into that towards the end. It's great to start off with the right team and somebody that's willing to answer your questions, because like I said, I do this every day. You guys don't. I mean, hopefully you don't. You're first time home buyer. So, hopefully this is your first step. So sometimes it can be hard for a realtor or even a lender or mortgage broker to understand that just because it's something that is like common sense to us, kind of, it's a no-brainer. It's not to first-time home buyers or even repeat, because the odds are you're going to do this once and then maybe again in a few years, 10 or 20 years, or maybe not again for 30, 40. You might not do it again, So it's important to find somebody that's open and willing to have those answers for you. So, again, a little bit more about Josh. He's a wealth of information. Usually we work kind of as a tag team. So when we do start out with our first time home buyers, the first step I'm going to drop the link to is a one-on-one consultation with me. And then I get a little bit of information about you. And then typically I put us in a 3-way text with Josh. And then he has like his standard, hey, how are you doing? Nice to meet you. When's a good time to chat? And then you have a quick phone call with him so he can kind of go over everything. And then he sends you his application. And his application's an online, asks for a lot of information. And he's one, if you have trouble doing it online or anything, you can call him and he'll sit and go through it with you. He's local down in Lake Mary, so he's not too far from us either. And he's been doing it a really long time. He owns his mortgage brokerage there. And I wish he was on here tonight, but he's not, and I understand. But I like him, and I send all my buyers to him because, sorry, it was a big thunder that apparently the dog thought somebody at the door. He takes the time to listen and to explain things to you. And he's really good to you to start out with, because after we talk, then you talk to him. And then if you're not quite ready to buy yet, let's say you get to the credit part and your credit's not quite where you want it to be to get a certain type of loan, he has people that can help you with that. If your debt to income ratios aren't quite right, he can direct you in that. So my job is to help you find the house and negotiate and do all that. And his job is to help you get ready to be able to do that. And then when you're ready, he gives me the green light to kind of come back in the picture with you. And then we're off to the races at that point. But yeah, he does. He like I said, I don't get anything from him. He doesn't get anything from me except for the satisfaction of helping the same people. And, we get to the closing table and we've had some that we've done it in 3 weeks from when we first met. And we've had others. I think the longest so far has been just over 2 years of working with somebody. And that, they needed help, but they were motivated, they were dedicated, and they wanted to be able to buy that house and have their own house. So they were willing to follow the path and the guideline that was set out for them and know that it wasn't like we want most things today where it's here and now and right at your fingertips. It's like you got to put a little effort for it. And it was a little uncomfortable at times, but they did it. And, they were so excited. Yes, there are debt to income ratio requirements, but they're different for different types of loans. So that will definitely be a great question for Josh. And if you guys want, when we do our consultation together, our quick phone call, I'll have his link for you. I usually have it, but I don't want to take time to pull it up now because I don't have it easily ready. But yeah. All right, so moving on. We're on to mistake number 2. You have to follow directions and put things in the right order in order for it to work smoothly. Can I get an amen there? So when I was first learning to bake way back, a new wife, and I'm going to make a homemade cake, and who needs those box cakes? I tried making the cake from scratch. So I found the ingredient list. I put all the ingredients into this bowl. I mixed it up, threw it in the little tin thing to make it cook. Well, when I took it out of the oven, this is what it looked like. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was making a cake. I wasn't making a flat brownie. But what essentially happened was I had all of the ingredients. I just didn't put them in the right order. I didn't follow the directions. I just, with box cake, it really doesn't matter. You just mix it all in. But I didn't read that, you're supposed to cream the sugar and the butter together. And then, you add the flour at the end a little bit of time. And I didn't pay attention. And I didn't have somebody there to be like, no, my mom wasn't there slapping my hand. No, don't lick the beaters while they're still on. But she wasn't there, you have to follow the directions. I just figured, it looked easy. I'd see mom out with all her stuff when I was growing up. And then the cake came out and it was fluffy and it was delicious. But nope. So I'll have you know, I did not get divorced that same day. Thank goodness. But I say all this because I want you to know what came out technically was still a cake, but I didn't nail it. And for you guys, when you're finding that first time home, I want you to nail it. I want you to stick that landing. I want you to get 10, 10, 10s across the board. And that's why I'm here to lead, educate, and to guide you. So what does it look like to start off doing the right thing, but in the wrong order? Tell me if you're guilty of any of these on here. My personal observation is that more than 90% of first-time home buyers wind up, again, in the wrong house or the wrong deal. Kind of, we went over that at the beginning. They got a house, they made a cake, but did they nail it? No. Bottom line, you end up with the wrong house or the wrong deal, and you're stuck, essentially. And I don't want anybody to be stuck. So let's move on to mistake number 3. Raise your hand if you see a new home community pop up weekly. I know over here in West Volusia, I sure do. I think we had a couple people that said Orange City. I'm sure you see them too. Over on, I think it's called MLK and something on the way to Veterans Parkway, Veterans Memorial. That's where we go to Home Depot. Anyway, that one just popped up right next to the little RV place. But we have so much growth going on. Even as the market has shifted, there's so much growth still, and there's massive marketing that entices you, and then it gets its hooks in you, and then you're hooked. So let's face it, they always have something awesome, some awesome upgrades. Look at this great model home. We're going to cover your closing costs. We're going to buy your rate down. There's something going on there, which I applaud them. They're winning tactics. So they're dangling that carrot in front of you. But I just want you to know that even when you decide that you want to buy a new home, because sometimes it makes sense. Newer homes have cheaper insurance. Newer homes, it's all new, and you can make it what you want. It's going to be very basic. You're probably not going to have ceiling fans yet. You might have lights. You'll probably have carpet in the bedrooms. Most of them have gone down to at least tile or LVP throughout the main areas now. And most of them are standard to have granite or quartz, whereas before they didn't. So you do at least get those little upgrades. But oftentimes they don't throw that refrigerator or washer, dryer, or even the appliances in. And then I just want you to know that when you go to see a new home builder, you can go with a realtor. You can have a buyer's agent that's on your side and working with you. So that's something that I do with a lot of my buyers is, we're out there looking at, I call it the used inventory, and nothing's suiting their fancy, and they're okay paying an HOA because most new builds are in an HOA community. Then we go in together. These are just a couple of the sales agents, sales dude and lady that you might run into there. Their job starts when you walk in the door, and they actually have sales quotas to make, and then they get rewarded for more sales. So have you ever gone to buy like a new car? If you've ever gone and bought a new or a used car, say type car in the chat, let's say, it's very similar. They get their hoorah meeting in the morning. We all get in and yeah, we're pumped. We're going to go. We're going to go do it. We're going to sell that person. They're going to come in. And, so just know that if you have a good relationship with a realtor, you have a buyer's agent, somebody working on your side. My job's to kind of pull you back and be like, okay, poker face. And then as soon as we walk out that door and we get over to our cars that we parked down the street, not in their parking lot because their cameras are still watching us, then we can discuss how awesome the house was and how much you liked it and that we're going to get you a good deal. But poker face while we're in there. All right. Again, this is the link if you want to book that consultation. We only have about 10 more minutes probably left on here before we do Q&A, but just in case anybody has to hop off, get that booked. All right, mistake number 4. First-time home buyers get intimidated by the numbers. So go ahead, pull out your pen and paper because we're going to do some note taking. I know I told you guys at the beginning if you had one, have it with you. Average home buyers don't dig deep enough into the numbers. But I don't think anyone on here is average because you've all taken the time and commitment to show up here and, you want to learn what the mistakes are and so you can avoid them. So I want to help you understand the numbers a little bit better and have the full picture of what you're looking at to buy a home. You'll always have closing costs, like we mentioned earlier, and they essentially can be lumped into 3 different categories. Category A. Fees from the title office, the lender, rate buy downs, HOA fees, things like that. Category B, one-time funding fees. This would be a VA loan for our veterans. They have a funding fee for that unless you are a disabled veteran. They have upfront MI, that mortgage insurance from the little scenario we showed earlier if you're using an FHA loan. And then your category C, which is something that a lot of people don't think about. You have prepaid taxes and insurance. And that's because your lender is actually going to collect money from your payment every month. And then every year when your taxes and insurance are due, they are going to pay them for you. Well, you might be wondering, why would they do that? Or I don't want them to do that. I'm just going to save my own money, have my payment lower. Very few lenders will allow you to do that. Most of them want to escrow, which is like a savings account where they're going to save that to pay it. And this is a closing cost because they're already going to collect for that first year at closing because they're paying your first year at closing for you. So I'm going to have you shop insurance companies and find a great rate. And you're going to lock it in with the insurance lady or guy, but then we're going to send that bill to the title company and they're going to include it with the lender fees at closing. So it's paid for you. And, bad news, they're expensive. But good news, we can have someone else pay them for you. So, like I mentioned earlier, we are in a full-blown buyer's market, which means odds are we can have someone else pay for some or all of them. If it's not the grant program, if it's the the new home builder, often I'll pay for them, or even the seller sometimes is willing to help you out and pay your closing cost. So if we were holding this webinar 3 years ago, when people were literally having their parents or family members give them hundreds of thousands of dollars from their retirement accounts so that they could pay over asking for a house, I would have told you, hey, you're going to need some serious cash to make this work. There's no way on earth that the seller is going to be willing to help you out at all. But boy, oh boy, the tables have changed. And aren't you glad? Essentially, your friends were buying years ago and they might have an awesome rate, but did they really get the house they wanted? They felt like, oh, we got to get this 4% interest rate and we're okay here. But now they're kind of stuck because the values of homes have stopped increasing and the rates are more. So if they had taken a little bit more time or research and actually gotten the home that they wanted, they probably would have been happier. But, you're not them. You waited. You're here. You're ready to do it now. So it's pretty much all about the monthly payment when it comes down to it. Let me kind of pull back the curtain and I'm going to tell you how brains work for a second, especially at my house. I don't know how it is in your household, but here we budget our money based on what comes in the span of a month and what we're comfortable with spending, of course, in a month's time. So tell me in the chat if that's how you guys run your house. Just type budget. You budget, how much is coming in, and then how much you need to spend, and then if you got anything left over. There's a lot of folks that aren't having stuff left over, especially with kind of where the economy and life and everything is right now. And, that's okay. That's why we're here, to help you kind of figure out where we can budget better. Okay, cool. We got a couple people. So sometimes our buyers will find that the home they really want is just barely out of the price range. So again, you're going to get a pre-approval for a certain amount. Let's say that $325K. But at the end of the day, it's all about that monthly payment. And what it brings up is it's our job to see if we can fit you into the box. Sorry, guys. Daddy's outside. Sorry, my 4-year-old. So with the cost of property taxes, home insurance, HOA fees, they're all over the place, especially from county to county or maybe city to city. So the monthly payment for two very similar houses could literally be hundreds of dollars different. I'll give you a short scenario just because most people looks like are in Volusia County and some we're out here on the west side. Volusia County taxes in relation to all the other counties around us are high. Don't let me scare you off. I live in Volusia County, but Volusia County taxes are ridiculous. In my opinion, all Florida taxes are. But Volusia County as a whole, their tax rate is higher than the surrounding counties. And a fun fact, the city of DeLand is in 2 counties. DeLand is in Volusia County, and then you cross over the St. Johns River. You're still in DeLand, but you're in Lake County now. If you go into Lake County, DeLand, your taxes are a lot cheaper. So therefore, your monthly payment is going to be cheaper. Now, one thing I want to caution you all about when you're searching on the websites, let's say Zillow, Realtor, anywhere like that, sometimes when you click through the more, it'll say annual property taxes are this much. That's going based off of last year's tax amount. And that tax amount is based off of the current assessed value of the home, which depending on how long that person's lived there and depending on if it's their primary residence, so they have a homestead exemption, that amount can be significantly lower than it will when you buy the house. So what I'm trying to say is if you're looking at House A, which costs $300,000, let's say Daytona Beach, and then House B that costs $300,000 Daytona Beach. So they're both in the same city. They're both the same price. But when you get on, you're like, but House A's taxes are only $1,000 a year. So I'm going to buy that house. because house B's taxes are $5,000 a year. Why would I do that? Okay, so the reason, whichever one you like more, because when you purchase a home, the county property appraisers got like this, I don't know, they have some kind of insider knowledge, probably because it gets recorded, the deed gets recorded. Okay, there's a reason. Okay. And now they know, hey, Jacqueline just bought this home for $300,000 from Maya, who's owned this home for 30 years. So when Maya bought this home, it cost her $50,000. And because Maya's lived in there that whole time, we are only right now appraising that house and charging Maya taxes based on like a $75,000 house. So Maya's taxes are really low. But here Jacqueline comes, she just bought this house. So hot diggity dog. Now we get to make a lot more money on your taxes because now we can assess because Maya's finally moved out, Jacqueline's moved in. So now we go and reset and the taxes reset. So overwhelming, but just know that all that's pretty much to say that when you find a house, when we're out house hunting, we're going to look up to your pre-approval amount. And if we need to go over a little bit, we will. I try not to go over too much unless I know the specifics about how much you've been, like how much the lender's taken into account for your taxes and insurance, then maybe we can. But once you find a house, before we even submit that offer, what I like to do is have the lender run numbers for you. And they're not going to be very specific. So much is going to change in that, even that week of getting it under contract and doing your full loan. But it will be very close. And that way they can pull the numbers on the taxes. They can pull numbers on insurance for it. And they can give you a lot better idea of what your monthly payment will be. Because in the same thing, you know, you might have a pre-approval for, I don't even know where numbers are right now, but let's say for this chunk of money, and that means that your monthly payment's going to be $1,600 a month. Okay, so you go, yeah, Amber, but I still like to go to Starbucks every morning, and I'm not willing to give that up. So I just don't know where I'm going to have an extra $1,600 a month to pay for a house. Okay, great. What are you comfortable with? We have that conversation. If you're only comfortable with the $1,400 a month, great. We go back to Josh and we say, Josh, she wants to keep her payment at $1,400 a month. So how much, what price range home should we be looking at? Or do we need to keep the taxes under a certain amount? So now maybe we need to look in this different town or this different, you know, an unincorporated Volusia, or we need to look in Seminole, or we need to look in Lake. So we know better idea of the house hunting. So like I said, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot that we do more on the back end to not get you overwhelmed with it too. But I do like people to kind of just to know that there's more that goes in. And Maya asked, how does homestead exemption work? Great question. Essentially, when you buy the home, you have to make it your primary residence. And so if you buy a home and you close any day in the year of 2025, any day this year, then between January 1st and March 1st, you're going to go to the county and you're going to fill out this homestead exemption form, and that starts it for that following year. And what it does is it takes a deduction off of the market value of the house so that the county appraiser actually assesses you at a lesser amount. Now, the standard deduction is $50,000 for most, and then it's like $25,000 for, say your taxes are broken down. I'll add that to the slide maybe, slide deck for my next webinar, but your taxes are broken down so that like a certain percentage goes to pay for the fire department, a certain percentage goes to pay for like roads, for storm waters, for schools, for all these different things. So most of those things you get a $50,000 deduction on, unless the house has to be valued at a certain amount too. And then the other items you get like a $25,000, like school is one, you only get a $25,000 deductible. So if your house is assessed, and usually it's assessed very close to what you're buying it for, if it's assessed at 300, market value, the market value is very close to what you buy it for. So the market value is 300, and you turn that form in, and you say, I'm living here. Here's proof. It's my house. I live here. You know, it's not just a summer home or a vacation home or a rental. Then they're going to say, okay, well, you know, we have the fair market value is 300. So you're going to take 50 off. So now we're going to set you at 250 for most of it. There's also other homestead exemptions in there that I'm not that familiar with. The county property appraiser office is a wealth of information for that. I do believe that if you are a Florida resident and you own a home for a really long time, and then you get up there in age, they can give some older, I think it's 65 plus. Don't hold me to that though. And you have to have owned for like 30 years or something. And it doesn't have to be the same house because you can actually port your homestead exemption. So if you start in a starter home and then you move on to a different home or something, you can port it over. You take it with you, and that helps. But so it helps our elderly not have taxes as high too. But yes. All right, enough about those. All comes down to monthly payment. Mistake number 5. All right, we're almost done. So this is the last, and it's probably the top one of our mistakes. It's the thing that people fail to do, or they try to do it too late in the process. It's the one that if you just got this one right at the beginning, it would probably fix all the other ones. And it is that you don't hire a gladiator. But the good news that I have for you guys tonight is that's me. Any dummy can open a door. In contrary to how it looks on HGTV, my job's not just to show you houses. That's like 2% of what I do. My job's actually to pick up the sword, or in this case, the key, and to fight for you. It means that I negotiate hard, sometimes get a little bloody in the pursuit of getting you the best deal, and that's okay. My job's to actually shield you from the negative consequences. And if I see that you're about to buy the wrong house, the one that I know, we've had that deep, heartfelt, like I told you, we become BFFs during this process. Many times we still like each other afterwards, other than just the occasional holiday card. But, I'm going to be like, hold up. In the beginning, you told me this was a must have. So has that truly changed for you? Or is it just because you're ready to settle and you're exhausted? Or is it just because of this or this? So if that would be helpful for you, tell me in the chat. Alrighty. A little bit more about kind of what a gladiator is. And I'm going to be a little bold with you guys right now, kind of put all my cards out on the table and tell you what I really want. Because at the end of the day, I'm here to serve you guys. And what I get out of it is serving you. So I want your kids to go to a better school than you did. I want you to put more equity faster and retire earlier because I was able to squeeze us into the best deal in the best neighborhood just by the hair on our chinny chin chins. I want to make the impossible possible. And of course, selfishly, I want to have you as an insane raving fan and for you to tell everyone you know how good your realtor was and that they should fire theirs. So how's that sound to you guys? Is that something that you could get on board with? Righty. So here's a little bit about what gladiators do differently. Are you able to talk about 2 years employment and having a gap? That's a great question for Josh. I know we've done it before, especially if you are going back into the same job industry or there's some kind of like reason and it's a good reason for it. Kind of like, for instance, we had like a stay-at-home mom. She worked, and then the kids, and they were little and wanted to raise them, and then she went back in. And sometimes you have to have a certain amount back in or something. So we'll definitely hook you up with Josh Esperanza. So back to the slides. Gladiators are bred differently. We have a deep desire to protect and to help others. It's kind of like that mama bear in me too. We keep faith even when others have lost it. And we think outside the box and fight for our buyers and what they really want and need. So if this sounds like someone that you'd want on your side, go ahead and type gladiator in the chat. Dun, dun, dun. Now, is every tactic that we're going to use work? Of course not. We're not naive, and not every battle is victorious, but we never go down without a fight. And here's what that looks like. So I've got to tell you, I was hesitant with AI tech, but it's kind of fun to play around with. And I think that they nailed this gladiator outfit on me. And then I asked them to kind of show me after a battle too. And just like, they did a great job, Round of applause for AI here. So getting back to the initial question back in the beginning, how are you feeling about buying a home now? Tell me in the chat. Do you feel a little less concerned, less stressed out, maybe less intimidated? Great, great. Less stressed. That's really what we're here for. Obviously, you guys will be able to tell I talk a lot, but again, it's the educator in me. I like to inform you and educate you. And like I said, if it's not in the cards today or tomorrow, it's probably in the cards next month, next year, a few years from now. And all it means is you need the little bit of the consultation now and kind of had that direction, and that direction for somebody that's looking out for you, not for themselves. So your job in the home buying process is just to tell me what you want and then let me do the worrying and find it for you. I'm here to find it. Student loans don't necessarily affect your chances of approval, especially if you're paying them. So if they're like in default or something, it could. And I don't know all the rules because they keep changing different stuff with student loans as to whether they count for your debt to income ratios and stuff like that. So that's another great Josh question. So we only have a couple slides and we'll wrap up here and have other questions at the end. I just kind of put this one up here so you can see what the right order is. And essentially the first step, somebody asked earlier, I think, should I have a realtor to help me? Absolutely. That's the first step. Choose a gladiator. Choose one that works with buyers. Some realtors prefer to work with sellers. Some prefer to work with buyers, and some kind of are, in between or whatever. That's me. I'm your gladiator realtor. I'd love to help you, or at least to have that, the consultation here. Again, it's a quick phone call. And if for some reason you guys want to meet on Zoom or grab a coffee, or you want me to three-way Josh in on our initial consult or something like that, we can do it too. And of course, buyers are welcome to use any lenders, any mortgage brokers, any insurance, anybody they want, any realtor. You can choose whoever you want. And that's where having those no obligation consultations are good to kind of find if your personality and theirs click right, and if they have the experience and wherewithal to get you those keys in your home. So don't get stuck. Book now. The link's in the chat again. Make sure you get on there, and we'll jump on a quick phone call. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this webinar. Thank you all so much for being a great audience. Thank you for asking questions and interacting. It helps a lot. And if anybody has any aha moments, I would love to hear about them. Or if you have any other questions, I'm all ears and I'll try my best to answer them. I'll stay on here for a few minutes. But those of you that got to run, feel free to run. That link's there. Make sure you save that or something to book a call. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. And I hope that you learned a little something so that you can take it on your journey. And I look forward to helping you, or you already have a realtor in mind or something. I hope that this helps the good questions to ask them too in your journey. Look forward to talking to you guys and having that one-on-one consultation with everybody and kind of getting the ball rolling for you.